Hey everyone, so we're going to check up on the three bins that we went through last weekend. Tomorrow night will be 7 days since I fed them last. I don't suspect I'll have to feed them. They've been in the basement now, so it's a little cooler temperatures. They may have slowed down, but let's pop in and see what we see. Because I took the cover off one, and I'm pretty happy with it. So right off the bat, you guys probably can't see it. All I've done is taking my paper cover off, and the cocoons. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 10, and I haven't touched anything at all. So I'm pretty happy with that. I've been debating, excuse me, if I'm going to move these guys into a bigger bin or not. But I'm finding with the smaller bins, the repopulation and the breeding that they're doing is probably some of the best success I've ever seen. So I think I'm just going to keep them in small environments until the population gets a little too much, and then I'll break them off and kind of go that route. Because I really like the repopulation I'm seeing, and while it's wintertime, I don't need castings. I have no use for them right now. It's very early winter, so why not bulk up the population? So it's a little dry on top, but oh yeah, more cocoons. I know I fed on this side just because it's sunk down much lower than this, so I know they are eating some anyways. Again, cocoons, I just take loosely this paper off the top, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like they're at 10, 11, 12. There's a alarming amount of cocoons in here, so whatever I'm doing, I like it. It works. So on this side, I know there's no food. I shouldn't expect to see too many worms, but I'm still going to flip it over, get all the denser castings off the bottom. Moisture wise, it could benefit from a little bit of moisture. The repopulation in here is wild. I mean, I wish I had better technology to zoom right in and show you guys exactly what I'm seeing, because I've been keeping worms for a long time, and I have not seen cocoons like this before. Starting to run into some worms now that we're getting closer to the feed. And these cocoons are really green. So in this handful right here, there's 3 cocoons alone with a few worms. So yeah, they're still really light green, so they're fairly young, new. So whatever I've done recently seems to have worked. Again, I'd like to add a little water, so before I dig right into where all the worms are going to be, I'm going to wet this down and mix it up. Again, because I only use a paper covering, there's lots of room for evaporation. I don't use plastic or anything. And again, like I mentioned in the last video, it's so that I can control the moisture, rather letting the foods that I put in dictate it. Just different tricks though, you know, it depends on what you're feeding and if I'm adding bedding, or it's always situational. So run into some grapes here, one that wasn't squished, so it lasts a lot longer. When you don't squish them, they don't get into the middle of it, so I just did squish this one, but that's almost 7 days old. You could almost eat it. So I'm just going to slowly take off from the top here. Of course, there's this nice bright light from this camera holder, so the worms are all just panicking and diving. But there's a healthy amount of food still here, I think. And lots of worms. Lots of worms. They're definitely all in here. Still lots of good bedding from the last time I left it. They're working away. they're all here. They're healthy. They're happy. Still lots of food like I thought there would be. So won't be having to feed these, I'm sure. But yeah, lots of young worms in here too. Tons of young worms. Very, very few of these are mature. This guy here is just getting there. Oh, there is. Let's see if we can get this in there. That is probably one of the youngest little baby worms you'll see. That is not a potworm. You can see the blood vessel through them. The potworms will stay white. This guy has his color at a very, very young age. So definitely lots of young guys in there. I'm not seeing really mites. I'm not seeing potworms. I mean, they're still going through that food pretty good. There's not a ton left. So it's kind of exactly what I expected it to be. And I think I'm just going to leave it. I can see lots of eggshell, lots of calcium and grit left in there. Tons of more little babies. You can see the color. You can see the blood vessels inside of them. You can actually see the food going through them. There's about 5 or 6 small little black dots. You can see the castings getting ready to come out the back end as he stretches out. I don't know how easy it is to see there, but it's really neat. So yeah, they are kind of opaque when they're young. But again, definitely a red wiggler, not a potworm. Which I think we've pretty much eliminated the potworms out of here. But the cocoons are just wild. Now let's see if you can get that guy in there. Lots of them. So, like I said, pretty happy with this. Pretty happy with its progression. Not 100% sure. You know, I guessed last time around 2 pounds. I don't know, maybe it's 1.5 pounds. But either way, they're happy. They're reproducing like crazy. They have good broken down food in there. I'm just going to leave this for a few days. That's about it. There's still a bunch of bedding in there, and I'm still undecided on what route I'm going to take with these bins in particular. So all I did was just add a little water, cover it up, call this guy good, and we can flip over to this one. This one I had had the other tote stacked on top of it, so I think it held its moisture a little better. Right off the top, yeah, definitely a bunch of cocoons. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, younger cocoons. This side there's a huge slope on this side. You can see you follow this line, so you can tell how much this side's gone down. So obviously my food's definitely in there. I don't know if you guys can see these, but yeah, cocoon, darker cocoon in there, another one there. There's a lot in here, guys. It's kind of cool. I like it. So again, I'm just going to flip this over, aerate it. You can always feel that denser layer at the bottom of castings. We'll just aerate it a bit, move those castings around, helps keep the moisture even. Like I said, this one held a little more moisture than the last one, so not gonna give it too much. Just get some of that drier bedding on the top that they're not really accessing back down into the environment that they're actually living in. You know, I'm used to seeing worms just scattered in this bin, in these 2 smaller bins. And it's nice knowing that I can dig in here and I'm not really finding any, because they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and right in that food going to town. Look at that. Got an old banana stem here. There's a cocoon right on top. So I'll just peel back little bits off the top here till we get close to the food. Now that I know we're nice and close, I see lots of worms. I'm just gonna tuck under and let it loosen up a bit. Still got an old banana peel from in here. This one's going a little slower. They're not quite, I mean, definitely a nice worm ball as they call it, but lots of juvies, lots of little young guys. Tons and tons of little young guys. Lots of food left though, tons. They're not going through it quite as fast as the other bin was. We talked about that lettuce that had never been frozen and is taking a long time to break down. Still there at the bottom. But I mean, worm-wise, they're all there. Lots of little juvies, so we'll just let these guys keep doing what they're doing. Cover them back up so they're happy. And again, that's about it. It'll probably be another 5 days, I'm guessing, before I have to feed these guys again. Well, these last two bins anyways. This one is going a little slower than I expected. But that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. It's obviously healthy and they're reproducing, and that's what our goal is, right? So again, cocoons everywhere, but I have bedding and everything ready. Don't think I need it yet. I'll give them some more time. Just a quick check-in. So, well, I'll take a quick break here. My last bin is the bigger one, so I will go and grab it and we'll check it out as well. So, we almost can't even get this whole bin in the picture, but that's okay. Yeah, lots of good bedding sitting on top to get mixed in. You can see what happens when you miss some tape before you put it through the shredder. They'll eat all the cardboard and you're just left with a little strip of tape. That's why I highly recommend always taking your tape off, because then you're just adding microplastics and stuff to your soil when you use those castings. So I know it's a pain, but I personally don't want to add to the population of plastic in my soil. This guy's pretty dry, but if I moisten him up and bury him, he'll hatch soon. But that is a nice darker anyways, cocoon. So pretty much just gonna mix around. I believe, yeah, I fed on this side, so we'll just mix this up a bit. Tons and tons of bedding. These worms got shipped with tons of coconut coir, so I'm just gonna keep mixing it up. Definitely some fairly freshly hatched juvenile worms in here. Significantly different than a potworm. When you have potworms, you will know the difference. It's white or at least opaque with a red vein. You'll know. We'll just mix this around. There's moisture in here. Probably wouldn't hurt to add a little. I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. Also, because I do tend to keep a layer of just bedding on top, just kind of as a covering. So that stuff dries out. And then when you mix it in, it dries out the whole bin, so. But again, I will rarely, if ever, have a problem with too much moisture, just because I make sure of that. So we'll just finish mixing up this side. This is going to be a quick video, so because I'm not really doing much. But we'll get this side mixed up, fluffed up. Not really seeing any worms, so they're obviously very happy over where the food is. Old tea bag, I gotta pull that out one day. So let's pull off the top. So this is a much bigger bin It should be more worms. So a couple reasons. I am seeing eggs, cocoons in here. Definitely, they are here. So either two options. Bigger bin, more room to roam. They're not bumping into each other and mating as often as you'd like, which is kind of why I'm leaning towards that smaller bin style until the population gets big enough. I might have switched these guys over a little early. It's either that or there's just that much more material and it's a distraction to the eyes and you're just not seeing it. But I'm leaning towards the not a big enough population for this size of bin. Mind you, there's definitely some cocoons in here. So let's just flop up where the worms are. And there are the worms. Oh, here we go. I know people were pretty happy with that nice clear shot of the potworms last time. Those are your potworms. They will always stay white. They will always stay clear. You can definitely tell the difference. But otherwise, well fed, still lots of food. Again, still those leaves, those greens breaking down that I never froze. Freezing the food destroys the cell walls inside the plant or the food that you're feeding. And that's why when it thaws out, it breaks down so much faster. So these cell walls, this was never frozen. They're all still intact, which keeps it tough and takes it a longer time to break down. Tons of little worm tree hanging off the grapevine here. There is a mature worm. This guy is of breeding age, which you can tell by that thick stripe right there. But yeah, otherwise, I think they're going through the food a lot quicker. The melons and everything are gone. They're just working on the berries now. So, and this lettuce that's been in here forever. But yeah, there's no lack of worms in here. That's a fact. So they still have all the grapes and the blueberries to get through, but they've gotten through pretty much all the bedding I added, and they've gotten through all the melon. So I think we're just going to, again, leave these guys for another few days. And yeah, they all look happy, healthy. No need to ruin a good thing. So, like I said, nothing wrong with checking in and seeing what's going on. But doesn't mean you have to do something every time. You know, this is just information for myself and make sure that I'm doing what I'm doing properly. And I'm happy with it. Still a little... nothing crazy. I do have a little cup of water here that I was drinking. I think I'm happy with that. And there you go. So that's, 5.5 days. It'll all depend on your population, the types of worms, etc., etc. But at least now I have an idea of what's going on, and now I can prepare for probably give them another 5. Oh, who am I kidding? I'm probably going to check in 3 or so and see what's going on. But when I do, I'll show you. I'll bring you back. Merry Christmas, Christmas Eve. Hope you guys have fantastic holidays. Take care.